All right, if you're a physical education student, you know this topic is a really big deal. So today, we're going to break down everything you need to know about athletic evaluation and fitness testing so you can absolutely crush your exams. Look, if you're here, you're ready to get it done. This is your guide to mastering all those key concepts that are pretty much guaranteed to pop up on your board exam. So let's get you ready to score big. Okay, first up, a total classic, a question you're almost certainly going to see. These three words, test, measurement, and evaluation. They sound similar, right? But in sports science, they mean very, very different things. Let's break it down. So, a test is just the how. It's the thing you actually do, like running a 50-meter sprint or doing a push-up. It's the practical, hands-on method we use to check a specific ability. Next up, measurement. This is the what. It's the result you get from the test. So if you run that 50-meter sprint in, say, 7.2 seconds, that number, 7.2, that's your measurement. It's the raw data, nothing more. And finally, evaluation. This is the so what. This is where we actually give that measurement some meaning. Is 7.2 seconds good? Is it bad? For your age group? We can only know by comparing it to a standard and making a judgment. So just to recap, a test is the action, a measurement is the number, and an evaluation is the judgment. Simple. So why does all of this even matter? Well, because really getting these concepts is the first step on the path to peak performance. It's how you design training programs that actually work. And the reasons we test are super practical. We test to get a baseline. Where is an athlete right now? We use it to track their improvement over a season. It even helps coaches with team selection. This data is absolute gold for finding an athlete's specific strengths and weaknesses, which then lets you create a really effective, targeted training plan. Now, for the really important stuff, the SAI Shuttle India test is absolutely crucial for your exam, so you're going to want to listen up. It's designed for school kids, ages 5 to 18, and it covers a whole range of essential fitness components. This table right here, this is your cheat sheet. Each test hones in on a specific quality. The 50-meter sprint, that's pure speed. The 600-meter run is all about that cardiovascular endurance. The sit and reach checks your lower back and hamstring flexibility, while the standing broad jump is just a fantastic measure of explosive leg power. And for agility and core strength, you've got the shuttle run and partial curl-ups. Honestly, you'll want to have this table memorized. Let's just break down one of the trickier ones, the shuttle run. This isn't just about how fast you are in a straight line. It's a real test of agility. How quickly can you accelerate, stop, and change direction? Following these steps perfectly is key to getting an accurate measurement. You sprint, you grab a block, you bring it back, and you do it again. It sounds simple, but trust me, it's tough. But hey, fitness isn't just for young athletes. How do we assess the older generation? Well, that's where we shift gears to the Rickley and Jones test. This one measures what's called functional fitness, the essential abilities you need for a safe and independent everyday life as you get older. Notice how these tests are so cleverly adapted? The chair stand test replaces squats to measure lower body strength, and the sit and reach is modified so it can be done from a chair. And this highlights a really key principle. Your tests have to be appropriate for the person being tested. We're still measuring strength, flexibility, and endurance, but we're doing it in a much safer, more relevant way. Here's a perfect example of that functional testing in action, the 8-foot up and go. It measures agility and dynamic balance. It looks at how quickly and safely a person can get up, move around a small obstacle, and sit back down. This gives us some really powerful insight into their risk of falling and their overall mobility. All right, let's talk numbers, but don't worry, it's really straightforward. The single most important calculation you need to know is for body mass index, or BMI. It's a fundamental metric in health and fitness. This right here is the golden formula, and you absolutely need to memorize it. BMI equals your weight in kilograms divided by your height in meters squared. That's it. At its core, it's just a simple ratio of your weight to your height. So let's use a quick example to make it real. Imagine a person weighs 60 kilograms and is 1.6 meters tall. You'd calculate 60 divided by 1.6 squared. Punch that into your calculator, and you get 23.4. But again, what does that number even mean on its own? And this is where that idea of evaluation circles right back in. The number 23.4, that's just the measurement. It's when we put it on this chart that we see it fall squarely in the normal weight category, which ranges from 18.5 to 24.9. Now, it's worth saying BMI isn't perfect. It doesn't tell the difference between muscle and fat, for example, but it's a super widely used, quick starting point for assessing weight categories. And beyond BMI, sports scientists use a bunch of other body measurements known as anthropometry. Things like skin fold thickness to estimate body fat, or the waist-to-hip ratio, all help create a much more complete and detailed picture of an athlete's physical profile. So we've got all these different tests, but how do we know if they're actually any good? A truly useful test has to meet certain scientific standards for us to trust it. Let's look at the most important ones. This slide clears up two super important but often confused concepts: validity and reliability. Validity asks, is the test actually measuring what it's supposed to measure? For example, a vertical jump is a valid test for leg power, but it is not a valid test for flexibility. Makes sense, right? Reliability asks, if you do the test again tomorrow under the exact same conditions, are you going to get a similar result? A good test has to be both. Two other important hallmarks are objectivity and norms. Objectivity just means the result isn't influenced by the tester's opinion. A stopwatch is objective. And norms mean we have a huge database of results from other people to compare to, so we can effectively evaluate where a score actually fits in. Okay, we've covered the theory, now let's talk strategy. How do you take all this knowledge and turn it into the best possible marks on your exam? Here are some pro tips for you. Use tables to present your information clearly. It just looks clean and it's easy for the examiner to grade. For tests like the Shuttle Run, draw a simple diagram to prove you know the procedure. And I'm going to say it one more time. Absolutely memorize that BMI formula and all the components of the SAI Kalo India test. Those are total must-knows. And that's a wrap on our explainer. We've covered the core definitions, the key tests, the calculations, and your exam strategy. You've now got the tools you need to succeed. So, thinking about your own fitness, how do you think you would score?